the dorms are like 1940s dated. You know what I'm saying? Like I went on a visit to a school in North Louisiana, because they had invited me there to, talk about potentially playing baseball there. And man, I toured the dorms, bro, and it's like, a hallway, and you got rooms on each side, and you just got the basic bed and dresser and whatever in there. And I'm like, where's the bathroom? Oh, the bathroom's at the end of the hall. Nah. You get to the end of the hall, you got this long ass urinal, and then like these showers. And I'm like, oh no, man, I can't stay here. We can't. And it's like, well, if I play, like, do I have to stay here? And it's like, yeah. I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. Like, I would have been like, you're going to give me more scholarship money or something.
Yes, I'm not living in this dorm room. But yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Armand back again with another episode of Big Boss Talk, the podcast. Man, I'm sitting down with another top tier guest, and the only reason why it's top tier is because it was recommended by my boy Thomas Weeks, and I know Thomas ain't gonna slide us nothing crazy. And so listen, man, we got I got Ezra Boyd. All right, everybody. So listen, age 28. Career/job, key account manager, college degree, business management. He got his bachelor's in business management at the University of Louisiana. MBA management, small business and entrepreneurship. From LSU, I think. Okay, go Tigers a little bit. LSU. Years in his profession, 6 years total. So he's got a lot of knowledge in the game, almost hitting a decade. So it's gonna be crazy just to really pick his brain about what he's doing. Is everything lining up to what he went to school for? But before we get started, Ezra, man, say what's up to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, appreciate you having me on, man. Looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. So listen, Ezra, it won't be Big Boss Talk, the podcast, and we do not do two truths and a lie. So I got to get those three statements, and hopefully I can catch the lie. But I've been really good because black people can't lie. So I'm like, I'm in my element right now. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what you got.
All right. So I've never traveled outside the U.S.
Okay.
I own a truck, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, never traveled outside the U.S., owns a truck, and you live in Atlanta, Georgia. See, that could be tricky. Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, that could be tricky because you could be on the outskirts of Georgia. You don't necessarily have to be in Atlanta, so it's crazy. But we just talked about it, and you was like, yeah, I moved to Atlanta, but I don't know if you were saying that because maybe you thought I wasn't familiar with the area. It's just easy to say Atlanta. I don't know. Own a truck. That's possible, but then not traveling outside the United States is one that I'm very skeptical about. The only reason why is because if I don't know how long you and Thomas been friends, but being friends with those guys, they travel a lot. So, I'm pretty sure you got like some type of travel bug, some itch just to be like, yeah, we going out the country. So golly. This is good. Never been outside the United States. Owns a truck, lives in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta, Georgia one is a lie. I don't know if you live directly in Atlanta, maybe you're on the outskirts, of just the Atlanta area. It's still Georgia, but just not. This is not Atlanta. Look what Amaretta says.
right. The song, yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that as the lie.
All right, well, I got you, man, because I've never been outside the U.S.
What, man? So what's the? You just haven't had the time, like.
I just really hadn't had the time, and I really, was just trying to figure out where to go.
Gotcha.
And I got my passport in January of 2020. Okay. So I had my passport lined up, ready to go. Was going to plan something out the country, then the pandemic hit. God. So now, my wife, she's been to Jamaica. She raves about it. So now that's where we're gonna go in September. So I'm gonna, get that notch off the belt later on in September.
That's what's up. We need to get that notch off. Got to get that notch off. So talk to me about, you say you own a truck. I mean, what kind of truck is it, man? I want to be a truck owner myself. I'm just not there yet. I've always had an eye on a smooth F-150.
Man, that's what I got. I got a 2016 F-150. So
okay,
that's my baby right there, man. Definitely put a lot of miles on that sucker. But when I was younger, growing up, I always said like I wanted to own a truck.
Okay.
So I got the job and was making some money for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I got this Ford Explorer, keep breaking. It's hella expensive to fix.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it's time to upgrade. So I went ahead and just, and got the F-150.
And that's what's up.
Used though, because trucks are expensive.
I wasn't even gonna say the trucks are expensive, but it's gas right now. Like, what is that gas? Like,
oh yeah.
It gotta be.
A lot of folks, they want that 4x4, they want that V8, loud truck. At the time, my job, I just did a lot of driving. So I was like, man, just give me the most fuel efficient truck you have. So, I got an EcoBoost 6-cylinder, 2-wheel drive, nothing crazy. So maybe next car I'll splurge and get something really, nice. But I just needed something that could get me from point A to point B.
That's a fact, man. I'm a little nervous. I don't even want to step on the lot and try to get a truck right now. I'm thinking I'm all Tesla, smart car. I went to LA. Me and my wife, we rented a Tesla for the weekend. And when I tell you, I mean, I drove the whole weekend and only had to charge up once, and it cost $18 to charge up. So I'm like, what? And then the screen is so dope because it show you they show you the car and then it's charging like it's an iPhone or something. So it's
right.
The experience of a Tesla is crazy. So I'm like, man, I might need to get a Tesla because the way them things looking is like, I need to go ahead and invest in this fuel efficiency and just less maintenance on the car. So we'll see how it goes, man. But that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. So what we're going to do, man, we just going to hop right into it, man. Ezra, I always, love to ask my guests this question. The only reason why I like to ask is so everybody, when people are watching, they see this, they like, who is this guy? What does he do? And then they hear your story about, kind of where your mindset was in the beginning, what changed along the way. It's a little bit of relatability there. A lot of times, we have our mindset on, I want to do one thing, growing up, but it's kind of hard to really put that type of pressure on yourself at a super young age to say, I'm going to do one thing my whole life, starting at 21, 22, as soon as you graduate, so it's okay that things change and things evolve. And then you learn yourself, along the way, and you understand that I thought I wanted to do this, but I didn't. But, what did you want to be, growing up, young Ezra, walking around? What was he promoting at the time?
Yeah, so young Ezra in 8th grade just knew he was going to be a lawyer.
Okay.
My mom said that I was really good at arguing my point. I was in theater at the time, so I was used to talking in front of people and doing things like that. And I went job shadow a lawyer, and I just realized and they go through a lot of school. It takes a lot to be a lawyer, and I was like, a lot of them start out as like public defenders and defense attorneys, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go down that route. The lawyer I shadowed at the time, he was like a defense attorney, so he was like defending folks that was in jail for not paying child support. So I went to court with him for the day and just saw everything he was doing, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do that.
You ain't like it? What did it consist of? Like when you was following him, like what did you figure out? Like what did his day look like?
Basically, and kudos to him because he really gave me the real spiel.
Okay.
In 8th grade, he basically told me like, hey, as a lawyer, it's great money, but I get home to see my daughter every day at 7 p.m. at night. You're working long hours, you basically catering to your client.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay. He really kind of broke it down for me and just kind of told me, hey, if this is what you want to do, this is how you get there, and I was like, I've always had this entrepreneurial mindset. So I was like, man, if I become a lawyer, I'm gonna start my firm right away. And he was like, nah, it took me 10 years before I could even start my firm. And this and this and that. And I was like, damn, like really like, he gave me like how to be a lawyer for dummies or something like that, So yeah, man. But then in 10th grade, I did like a summer job at like the local hospital back in my hometown, Opelousas. And I met, he's still a friend to this day. His name's Shannon. Okay. And he was like a supervisor in the business office. Yeah. He was a young black guy, just like us. And he had just got his degree. He was working on his MBA. And he really like broke it down to me like, hey, this is how it is in business school. This is what you can do with it. Right. I'm working on my MBA, so I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. Right. And, just seeing what he did every day as a supervisor and how he operated in the business world, that really like inspired me to go into school for business. Right. At the hospital, you got the CEO, you got all these big executives just kind of walking around. Mm-hmm. And I met the CEO one day and I was just asking him like, hey, I want to be a CEO one day. Like, what's your advice? And, he really was just saying like, hey, make sure you work hard, make sure you get your education, because, they really look for that type of stuff. And, I was like, damn, I really like appreciate him putting me on game, telling me what to do, Shannon telling me what to do. So that's when I realized like, okay, I want to go to school for business. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do after I get the degree, but at least I know I'm in an area where I got different options. Right. So that's what kind of made me want to go into business.
Man, that's dope, man. I think, it's solid that you had people along the way to give you the nitty gritty or, to give you the rundown. Cause, I talk to so many people on the podcast and they always, some of the ones they might have a mentor. Some of them may not. I can tell that the ones that have a mentor or somebody that really they can, if they got questions they can go to and they know they're not gonna get a sugarcoat answer. I can tell that they go through life a little bit more easier. It's always easier to go through and say, if you don't know something or you aspire to be something, but you know exactly who to contact or ask a question on how to get it figured, like you just feel a lot more confident in what you're doing. So I know those two guys, the lawyer and the the CEO of the I guess the hospital, right? Played a major part in just you kind of getting the real bird's eye view of what they do. But I will say, a lot of times when us as black men, when we see like other black men like dressed up, got the suit, like they walking around looking like they got something going on, business, we always kind of get inspired about that. Why do you think that is? Like why like we never seen somebody in a suit before?
And I think it's just cause like of the culture, like, and there's nothing wrong with our culture. I love our culture, but a lot of the folks that are famous or that we look up to, they're not dressed in the suit and tie all the time. No. It could be a rapper, it could be an actor that's just wearing jeans and a shirt. Right. So I think in our culture, a lot of the times the people that we see that are famous and making a lot of money, they're not wearing the suit and tie. Got you. A lot of people don't know who Robert Smith is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's a billionaire. Right. He's a billionaire businessman. But we know, who Lil Wayne is. We know who Will Smith is. And they're great examples, right? Because they're rich and successful and wealthy in their own way. Right. But, there's other ways for us to, be successful, besides, throwing a football or rapping or anything like that.
Man, I'm glad you hit on that. That's the whole purpose for me for the podcast. It's like I applaud people and like it's nothing wrong. Like you said, it's nothing wrong with that. But everybody can't do it. You know what I'm saying? What's gonna happen?
Absolutely.
What's gonna happen?
Absolutely.
When I need to go to the doctor, the old doctors done ran out. All this new generation want to be rappers, so I can't really go to you. You can't handle me medically. I'm just doomed out here because I don't have no type of medical assistance and lawyer or just you know, even people that greet people at the front desk, like you gotta have those type of people. They play a very vital role. Like, you know, for me, I look at all roles, no matter the pay structure, no matter what you do, it's important. It's a part of a puzzle. So without that piece to the puzzle, something along that whole picture goes wrong, or it doesn't look right, or it doesn't work right. So it's like, you know, we gotta show, and it's crazy because we do show a lot of we glorify a lot of the rappers and the actors and the athletes because they make so much money and because they're in the limelight. But it's like, how do we highlight, you know, the regular day people? You know what I'm saying? Like the people
Absolutely.
that you can actually probably touch. It's probably a higher percentage that you will be, you know, one of these people. You know what I'm saying? No matter what field you go to, it's like I would rather, you know, obviously I'm gonna shoot for the dreams at high at all times, but you know, I gotta hit a level, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I gotta hit an obtainable level, and then once I hit that, it's like, okay, now I want to shoot for the NBA money, the rapper money. It's nothing wrong with that, but I'm gonna do it in my field as a podcaster, as a, you know, as a role model. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to do it that way versus I know I can't play football no more. The knees a shot.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. And I definitely can't rap to save my life, but I love music, so that's all that matters. Well, cool, man. But talk to me about University of Louisiana, man. How did you get to? I know you from. You say you from Louisiana. What part? And then what went into your decision of, you know, where you wanted to go to school at and why?
So, I'm from Opelousas, Louisiana. So make it easy for everybody because you can't find it on a map. Like talking about, it's an hour from Baton Rouge west. So if you pass up Baton Rouge and you keep going west, you're eventually going to end up in Opelousas.
Okay.
And you know, all they got there is, you know, a bunch of teachers. You know, teachers are really like the wealthy people in the community. You know, because it's not a very like high class wealthy community, but you know, it's a very small, intimate place. You know, everybody knows everybody. You know, it's a very much like a go-getter type attitude, you know, about the city. You know, everybody supports one another. You know, good food, good family, good people out there. So it was a good place to grow up. You know, when I was looking through potential schools, I was looking at all the options. You know, I was thinking about going out of state. I was thinking about staying home. And I went, you know, on different school visits. And, you know, I was playing baseball in high school. So there was like some potential to potentially go play at the next level, but not like on a scholarship, like a walk-on type thing. So, you know, just kind of entertaining all those options. And, you know, eventually I visited like a lot of the schools. You know, I kind of narrowed down the list. And when I went to the University of Louisiana, which is only, you know, 30 minutes from my hometown, I really enjoyed how they broke everybody up. I mean, you're talking about, you know, hundreds of kids at this, you know, visit.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, if you want to major in this, you go here. You want to major in this. They kind of broke everybody up by their major.
Okay.
And they brought all the business majors to like this classroom. And we all sat in the classroom, and it sat about, you know, 60 kids. And the dean of the school, who also taught there, he was like, hey, this is what a class will look like if you come here. You know, this is what a classroom looks like. And he just started writing on the whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
And he started breaking down all the curriculum. Hey, you know, kind of freshman, sophomore year, this is what you'll be doing. And then junior, senior year, these are the kind of classes that you'll have to kind of get into.
Gotcha.
And he really broke it down. And I was like, okay, I'm sitting in a classroom. The dean is breaking down to me what I'm going to have to take to get my degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I want to go here because now I know what I'm getting myself into.
Got it.
You know, because a lot of the other schools, you know,
they don't know. You don't know.
They just kind of gave you the cover, right? They just kind of gave you the cover and didn't really go into everything that it takes to be a college student.
Right.
You know? So for me, that's what the decision came down to. And obviously, you know, college is not cheap. So, you know, hey, scholarship money, how much you giving me?
Yeah.
So all of that came into play. And it just felt like University of Louisiana was like the best place for me to go.
Gotcha.
So, you know, my mom said, hey, you know, if you stay close to home, that's cool. you're not gonna be here once you graduate anyway. So just enjoy your last, 3 or 4 years at home. So that's what I did.
That's what's up. So did you ever take a visit to LSU or any? Like, I feel like for me, like if I'm in Louisiana, I'm like I need to go see what LSU was talking about. Just because I look at LSU, like I like LSU all because of the athletes, all the athletes I know that went there.
Absolutely.
So the football team. So we talk about the Tyrann Matthews, Adrian Peterson, Shaq. A lot more went to LSU. Odell Beckham. You got a powerhouse. So I just feel like for me, like being in Louisiana, being from Louisiana, I was like, man, let me go check and see what LSU talking about. Did you ever go check out the campus?
And I did. LSU was my visit the week before I went to University of Louisiana. LSU was number one on the list. I was like sold on it. I was, pretty much had it was between those two.
Okay.
And LSU at the time, the dorms still weren't up to par. It still wasn't looking too great. And they really did a good job trying to sell you on it. And I think the difference for me was, University of Louisiana had just built some nice dorms, took us on a tour of them.
That's key.
Then the dean breaking down the classes like that. I was like, yeah, I got some buddies that's going to LSU. So if I want to go turn up with them or go check out LSU, I can always go down I-10 and hang out with them for a weekend. So that's what it really, came down to.
That's major. And so, because people don't realize dorm is how your dorm look is key. And it's a really
100%.
It's a high selling point for a lot of kids. Because I'm like, I don't want to go to a spot that I'm already away from home. Probably some people's first time, especially for that long period of time. We talking about, for a semester, you may come back home, go back, but you're there for 4 years. So you got to be comfortable where you living. And so if you don't feel comfortable, it's like, I don't know, these dorm rooms ain't hit. And then you starting to discover, like, can I stay off campus? Is that allowed? But then you also talking about that's more money because now you got an apartment, like you got to furnish it. Like, it gets tricky when you're looking at those dorms. So luckily, luckily.
And I don't think some folks understand. Like, there are still some schools. The dorms are like 1940s dated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went on a visit to a school in North Louisiana, because they had invited me there to, talk about potentially playing baseball there. And man, I toured the dorms, bro. And it's like, a hallway and you got rooms on each side. And you just got the basic bed and dresser and whatever in there. And I'm like, where's the bathroom? Oh, the bathroom's at the end of the hall. Nah. You get to the end of the hall, you got this long ass urinal, and then like these showers, and I'm like, oh no, man, I can't stay here. We can't. It's like, well, if I play, like, do I have to stay here? And it's like, yeah. I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah, like, I would have been like, you're going to give me more scholarship money or something.
Yes, I'm not living in this dorm room. But man, you ain't tell me you played a little baseball. I guess I ain't ask either though. But how you was that? I mean, obviously you talked about, visiting school that wanted you to play, but were you were you pretty good, in high school, coming out of high school?
Yeah, I was pretty good, man. Like, I wasn't no Barry Bonds or anything like that, but, I was pretty decent. Like I said, I was, lucky enough to kind of tour some schools and just kind of about potentially playing on after, but, it didn't really work out. Just, I wasn't good enough, it is what it is. Hey, man. I ended up playing like a little amateur in Louisiana for a little bit while I was in school. But, it was one of those things I learned very quickly. Ezra, just, stay with the books. Stay with the books. Yeah, you ain't going to play for nobody's professional team anytime soon. So,
hey, you got to be honest with yourself. Sometimes, like, I had to have the same talk. It was like, hey, buddy, it's not going to happen. So we got to figure out what else we're going to do. But cool, man. We'll move on from that, man. So going to Louisiana, the process, that is key. I sit down with a lot of. I just sat down with somebody yesterday that went to a HBCU. I sit down with a lot of HBCU students, a lot of PWIs as well too. But it start to look like I'll be promoting just HBCU because we get real hype with talking about, because if you ever talk to people that went to HBCU, they talk about their experience like it's nothing like it. It's great, you know.
Absolutely.
And they have so much pride for their school, and I'm like, I have zero pride for my school whatsoever. Like they try to get these emails for alumni, and I'm just like, I mean, I love the people I met at the school. You know what I'm saying? But if you talk to Weeks, you know, it was a very much, you know, it's a Christian private school.
Yeah,
very much old Southern Baptist ways and rules. So it's like the experience is our experience, and when I talk to people that went to other schools or HBCUs, their experience is totally different. But it's like it is what it is. I won't, you know, I won't take back the people that I met at the school because I made some really good friends and great relationships. So that's always super dope. But moving out of that, you know, we getting our business degree. You know, we don't necessarily know exactly what we want to do out after that, but you know what did happen after you kind of graduated, right? We graduated. What was your move? What was your career goals at this point?
Yeah, so getting to my senior year, and this was the fall semester before I graduated in the spring. And, you know, I went to the career fair, I wouldn't say the goal was to come out finding a job, right? Because gotcha. I felt like I had another semester left to go to another career fair.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go ahead and see what was out there.
Yep.
So, you know, went to the career fair, talked to a lot of different companies, really liked, you know, the conversations that I had. And then I talked with, you know, PepsiCo, and, you know, I give the guy my resume and we start talking, and, you know, he basically was like, yeah, I think you're a great fit. And I'm just like, okay, he's probably told everybody that, you know, while he was here. And, you know, I love the products, right? Like, like don't? You know, the chips everywhere, man. You know, I still eat them. You know, I'm not there anymore and I still eat them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so he was like, hey, you know, we'll be in touch. So, you know, I'm talking to these different companies, and sure enough, you know, here comes PepsiCo. Hey, we heard you talk to so-and-so at the career fair. Here's the application. Make sure you apply. If you pass the assessment, you'll do interviews on campus. So I did the assessment. Sure enough, they sent another email. Hey, we want to interview you on campus. I was like, okay. This is the time you got to come. And I was like, okay. I was like, damn, I got a class that day. So I had my homeboy, you know, sign in for me for class so I would get my little credit. So I went to the interview, and, you know, I'm interviewing and talking with them, and they're like, man, we think you'd be a great fit. Like, you know, we want to move you on in the process. And I'm like, whoa, like.
I got another.
Clearly this, like, maybe they just give this lip service. I don't know. So I came out of there, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm moving on. Sure enough. Damn. Hey, they said they liked you. We're going to go to a virtual interview. I was like, okay. Go to the virtual interview, and, you know, the director at the time, he was like 15 minutes late. He gets on, and it was like the most exciting 15 minutes ever, man, because we just caught up on everything, and it just was flowing, went to the next virtual interview, flowed. Bam, a week later had an offer. So I'm in October, and I already knew where I was going to be by the time I graduated.
Got you.
And my only regret going through that process was, it was a great offer. You know, I talked to people that I graduated with, black, white, you know, purple, yellow.
Yeah.
And they weren't getting nearly like the type of money, because a lot of them were trying to stay back home.
Yep.
And so it was a great opportunity for me, but I felt like I should have did more just seeing what else was out there.
For sure.
And from a perspective of, yeah, I got this great offer from PepsiCo, but maybe somebody can up that.
Right.
Maybe somebody's got something, you know, a little sweeter, you know? So that was like my only regret going through the process. But obviously, you know, everything happens for a reason. So, you know, that's how I came about with it. So I had the offer in hand. You know, I knew I was moving to Memphis. I just had to graduate. So, shoot, I wasn't letting nobody stop me from graduating. I was making sure I went to class.
Yeah.
You know, making sure my assignments was turned in, because, you know, nobody's stopping me from getting this money, you know?
Got this job.
So it made it very easier to go through the rest of school, because it's like I already had something lined up. Whereas, unfortunately, a lot of folks I graduated with, they didn't know what they was going to do. And this was when the oil industry just like tanked, man. Oil a barrel was like $100-some in 2015, and it tanked to like $12 a barrel.
Jeez.
So a lot of folks back home, they were getting their degree in like oil and gas management, which is like a big degree at the school. And now they're kind of stuck because like the oil industry is laying people off. They don't know where they're going to go. A lot of folks are just like, I'm just going back to school because I know I'm not going to make enough money coming out.
Right.
So, it was good to have something in hand and know that like, I can take that next step.
Man, that's dope. I mean, I think you dropped a gem in there along the way too. Like one of your regrets as far as like, because I've seen people, they go to those career fairs. They, obviously they get, brought on. The company's loving them, give them a great offer, and for me, like, I've always worked, even in high school, but if you was to offer me the type of money that that I'm making now at that age, I would have said yes in a heartbeat too. And I would have said, let's lock it in because I don't know what's going to happen after I graduate. You know what I'm saying? So in your mind, like in your situation, saying yes and locking in is probably the best thing that you could do because now you secured something for the future, which a lot of people would love to have that opportunity because a lot of people graduate and don't have that, and it take them 5-6 months, a year sometimes to even get a job, let alone a job in a career path. So it's like,
absolutely,
to have that situation presented to you, like, hey, I would have did it just how you would have did it. But when you were talking about, still looking to see what's out there, to a lot of, if you listening, watching, even if you're in a current position now, there's no better feeling than interviewing when you already got a job. Because
absolutely,
it's no pressure.
You speaking the gospel on that one. That is accurate.
Listen, man, I go to these interviews. So like, if I take our interview, it's like usually you selling yourself to them. Now it's no, you gonna have to sell yourself to me because I really don't need this job. And if you gonna match numbers, like this is what I'm making over here. If you ain't coming at that same amount or better, then it ain't no point of me moving forward. And so it's just like you just get that power, and it's like. I wish everybody could witness that or go into an interview with that type of power and that mindset because that's the way you could get your next, promotion because you're not really sweating or, just willing to say any and everything just to get the job. You really trying to figure out, is this going to be a good fit for me? Were you asking the right questions? And I think when you said that, I was like, man, I need to highlight that because you should, explore other options, even though if you got an option, you're not doing anything wrong. You just looking to see, is this going to be the best fit for me? Can someone offer me more money? Another thing is all money ain't good money. So you got to weigh that option out too. Have you ever been in a situation where, you took a job and you was just like, nah, this is just, when I talk about the all money ain't good money, like, the money's all right, but this stress coming with it is not it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need something different. Have you ever been in that situation?
So during my most recent, I guess you could say, going through the interview process, right? Mm-hmm. There was one company I was talking with, and like, it was kind of, at the beginning, it gave me a similar feeling to PepsiCo, right? It's like, oh, we really like you, X, Y, Z, saying all the right things. And at first it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pursue this. I'm gonna, try to, get this thing done. Yeah. And as I was going through it, the vibe started to change, and maybe the vibe really didn't change. Just my eyes kind of opened up and was like, okay, hey Ezra, I don't know if this is the jump. And it came down to like, yeah, if they come back and offer me, I don't think I'm gonna take it. And it was one of those things like they offered me money, was kind of close, but now I'm going to be on the road a lot. I'm going to be dealing with some products that aren't as well known as what I'm dealing with. So, it was like, nah, I think I'll pass.
Yep.
And, it's like, you get something and you're like, man, this is what I wanted. I wanted something different. And it's like, you say no. And it's like, sometimes you just got to have faith. Like,
yep.
It's not always good to jump at the first thing.
Yep. That's a fact.
No matter how vulnerable you're feeling or however your current situation is, like you said, sometimes the grass ain't always green on the other side. And your gut is always going to tell you initially.
Yeah.
Whether you listen or not.
That's on you, but you had that feeling.
Your gut is going to tell you. There's, like for me, when my heart sinks, that's my gut telling me this something bad's about to happen or this ain't where you want to be.
Right.
And it happened the first time I went for the first interview. So then when it happened again, I was like, yeah, I'm going to just
decline.
Play it by ear and
respectfully. Respectfully decline.
Right.
You ain't gotta
Respectfully.
take it. I'm just gonna hear you out, and I like y'all, but this might not be for me. So, that's life, man. I mean, when you start to have that mindset and you just understand that you don't have to, like you said, jump at everything. I think just being young and wanting to, make money. You know what I'm saying? Like the mindset is like, I want to make money. I want to be comfortable. I want to be, as men, we want to be able to provide. But we shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to come with a cost. I'll say that it shouldn't have to come with a cost.
I agree. And in today's work environment, the leverage is with the employee.
Yes.
We are in the most advantageous environment ever.
Yes.
We get to name the price. We get to say whatever we want to say to get the job, because there's not, I guess with the pandemic and everything, these jobs, these companies are looking for people to go work, and they're willing to pay, whatever it takes to get you.
Yeah. That still blows my mind.
Yeah. And, if you're working at a job and, you kind of feeling some type of way about COVID, you ain't trying to go in the office no more, there's some company that will pay you to work remote.
From home, yeah.
So, I tell folks the days of, like my mom's about to retire. She worked at the same company, the same school system for 42 years.
Wow.
Those days are over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's not going to be, I think, somebody in our generation that's just going to work for a company for more than 3 decades. It's just not going to happen.
I don't think so. No.
And anybody that's in a job and they feel like, I don't know if there's better out there. It's out there. And it's okay for you to take that jump and put in that application. Or if somebody reaches out and says, hey, I want you to talk to you about this. What's it going to do? At the end of the day, you can just tell them no.
Right.
But I think in today's world, just see what's out there, because these companies are willing to do whatever it takes to get the person that they want.
Yeah.
Whereas, before the pandemic, I don't think that was
the case.
As prevalent.
Yeah, like before it's crazy to me just to see the changes of how the power has switched. Before the pandemic, it was always the employer. The employer had the power. Like employees were scared, timid. Like, you miss work, you call out. You talking about mental days, mental breaks. They're like, what? We'll hire somebody else, because I guess people wanted to work. And then after the pandemic, it's like a lot of people didn't want to work, which I'm still confused about, because I'm like, how are people making money now? Which I know there's a lot of different ways that you can make money out here now, especially electronically, on the internet, things of that nature. Like there's a lot of ways you can make money and be self-sufficient. So I get it, but it's the way they talk about the, I guess kind of like just the downgrade and just employees willing to work. It's still kind of wild to me. And and I think it's really just customer service jobs. Like a lot of the customer service jobs are just going down due to the attitudes of people being locked in their home for a year and a half, 2 years, and then coming outside wilding, being entitled. Because I used to work at the retail as far as like with my company, and I was just like, people would come in and they would be wilding, and we talking about dealing with phones. So you take someone's phone away, they lifeline. Oh, all hell is breaking loose. Like it's just they talking to you sideways out your neck and be like, look,
Yeah.
I didn't want this to happen to you, phone. Like I want to help you, but you really gonna have to watch how you talking to me, because then I'm gonna have to be like, you could go to the store across the street, and just send them out the door. But I think that is, is key, and then I think we do have the power now. So when you talk to different people, you can negotiate now. You have a little bit more authority, a little bit more power, and you can kind of play on your terms. And I do feel you made another great point that I feel like a lot of people are not going to be with a company for 2 to 3 decades, just working with the same companies. I just don't think that's in this generation's nature to do that, especially when entrepreneurship is at an all-time high. People are trying to find ways to add little sources of income, and they always talk about you need about 6 to 7 incomes to really be wealthy and just be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So I guess this is a great segue, and just to kind of talking about as far as like, what are you doing as far as entrepreneurship wise, and what have you started? What do you enjoy putting your time in, outside of what you do, from a 9 to 5 standpoint? Because I know obviously we work 9 to 5s, but our real passion is what we do on the side. So what is it that you kind of lock in on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really figured out my niche to figure out like what I'm gonna do next. But it's just one of those things, like once I find it, I'm really gonna take some time and dedicate to it.
Yeah.
And I think the first part of that was finding a 9 to 5. They gave me more flexibility to have that, really that free time, right? And not be, I wouldn't say it's just like trapped and so consumed with your day job that you don't even have time to kind of better yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, during the pandemic, I did a lot of like just learning about the stock market, learning about crypto, really, taking money that I could save and putting that towards that, right? Because, you look at CEOs, you look at people that are like very wealthy, right? The Mark Cubans, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates of the world.
Yeah.
You look at their wealth and you start breaking it down. What's at least 50% of their wealth is stock.
Stock investments.
It's real estate, properties and different things like that. So just really, that's kind of where my mindset has been, like, hey, how can I own some property? How can I invest and really, start, where can I put my money and let it do its thing and not have to worry about that kind of stuff? Because, jobs today, they'll pay you a good salary, but the goal of the job is not to make you wealthy.
Right.
Like, this is what it is. You're not going to become the next, Bill Gates or Elon Musk by sitting at your desk job every day or going to work every day.
Gotcha.
So, the first step for me was really trying to get that work-life balance so I could take that time to figure out, what would be the next step. So, I'm still trying to figure that piece out. But, I do a podcast with my brother. That's another outlet, something that, somebody could pay me 6 figures one day to talk on the radio, right?
Yeah.
Do a podcast,
Yeah.
Hey, that's better than the 9 to 5, right? So, just taking that time now to really just kind of evaluate, what might be the best path. Because, you hear all these great stories about, I started my own business and now I'm successful. Well, not every business is successful.
Yeah.
We don't hear about the losses more than we do the win.
That's a fact.
So, you got to be very diligent in what you want to get yourself into. I've talked about opening a restaurant because I love making Cajun and Creole food.
And you from Louisiana, so I don't know who can season. I don't know who can season food better.
Yeah, right. So, I've thought about doing that, but it's like only 25 or 30% of restaurants that start up are actually successful.
Yeah.
So, is that the way I want to go? We've talked about, potentially buying properties and, maybe flipping houses. But that's a very, sometimes you don't make your money back when you flip a house.
Yeah.
So you hear all this stuff on TikTok. It's like, oh, I flipped this house and made $50,000. Yeah, but what city were you in? What's the market looking like? How much money did you put into the house? So that's the kind of stuff we got to think about as well. But I definitely encourage it. My master's degree, I got a minor in small business and entrepreneurship because I do want to have something that I own one day and can call it my own. So I was like, shoot, since I'm going back, I might as well make it even more better for myself, right? And just, hey, let me learn about small business. Let me see how, Sam Walton created the Walmart empire, and just try to see where I fit into that equation.
That's dope, man. So if you can highlight just for a small bit, I know you mentioned your podcast with your brother. What is it that you guys, like to talk about on there? What's kind of the theme of that other podcast?
Yeah, so our podcast is called The Radio Show. And on paper, we say we're like a hip hop show where we just talk about music and things like that. But honestly, I look at it like it's me and my brother and our friends. And we just shoot the shit for an hour or two once a week. Right. And, we just talk about all kinds of things, man. We talk about pop culture. We talk about sports. We even talk about politics, what's going on in the world. And, how that affects us. Sometimes we have guests on who have their own business or, they're making music or they're doing things in the world. And we bring them on and talk to them about what they got going on and try to, advertise their brand and try to get them to where they're going. So we really do a lot of different things. We talk about everything. So we talk about food. We got Cujo on there, and he's the snack plug. So every time we get on the show, he plugs us with a new snack, a new innovation that's out there. So we're really just kind of all over the place, but in a good way. So, I think what we've done a good job is not trying to segment ourselves into just one audience. Anybody, from any background or culture can listen to us and take away something.
That's dope, man. That's dope. I like little podcasts, man, and I think the podcast space is dope. I wanted to ask, why do you feel like black men get such a bad rep when doing podcasts? Like everybody always like, these don't need no podcast. Like why they talking crazy? Like men so stupid. Y'all, they don't listen like to what they talking about. Like what's coming out their mouth. Like why do you feel like it's such a bad like rep? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like why can't we? They always say men need therapy instead of a podcast. So I'm just like, why is it so bad?
for some folks that is the therapy, right?
Right.
Like if you go to the barbershop and you just shoot, talk to the folks in there, talk to your barber. That's kind of therapeutic in a way. I hope I never lose my hair. It's still going strong, because I'm going to lose that experience, that part of it, just talking with different folks and getting perspective. I'm big on getting perspective. But to answer your question, I'm not sure where that came from. I know Kevin Samuels just died, but, maybe it's because those folks are the ones that are like the ones at the forefront, right? Like you do a podcast, you're not sitting there, throwing women under the bus or, talking crazy. So I think, it's just making sure that folks understand, these black brothers have a podcast, but, we're not just sitting here just saying crazy stuff. Like, we're trying to talk about things that matter. And, we give our perspective on things, right? You say some things on your podcast. You're not necessarily looking for people to agree with you, right? Or just say, oh man, man, I just, you're not trying to start this like,
a cult.
A cult, right? You're trying to start a cult. You're just saying, hey, this is how I feel about the situation. Here's my YouTube page. Here's the comments. Tell me how you feel.
Right.
Come on my show and we can talk about it. And I think people need to look at us as black men doing podcasts instead of in a negative way, hey, maybe I'm just trying to put some folks on game.
Right.
Because we don't do enough of that. And it's not that we don't want to, it's just that there's not enough of us in those positions of power to set the tone and to come back and say, hey, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So maybe folks need to look at it that way.
That's true.
Just have a different perspective on it.
I think you're right, man. Like Kevin said, and what's crazy is just like, it's sad to say that. So like, even my podcast, like I really don't, when I do this, I wanted to do this from a perspective of how can I wanted to be, I wanted to be what I wish somebody was for me. Meaning, I wish I had some type of mentorship where people could, like, if I wanted, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have so many ideas of what I want to do, but I have nobody that I can ask to say, how do I start from this? How do I do this? Like, what's the best way to going about it? And so I was just like, at first it started off as me dealing, like, it started in 2000, like, I want to say 19. And I was just like, okay, cool. I know I'm, dealing with probably like single parent home stuff like that. I know guys probably suffer with that, but I also want them to understand that, it's a lot of us out here, and we have to learn how to channel that energy and channel some of that anger in a positive way versus, maybe, losing ourselves and going the wrong way. So it started off like that. But then I was like, it was going to play out quick. And I was like, it's only so much I can really talk about in that space. And I was just like, so what can I do? I was like, okay, well, talking to people or giving perspective to what's out there, right? So like, if I may not have the answer, but I'm sitting down with Ezra, I'm sitting down with an Ashley, I sat down with a Shanice, I sat down with a Maya, I done sat down with almost over 60-something people. If I don't know it, out of these 60-something people and more growing, they probably got the answer for you. So I'm going to plug you in with the how you connect with them, how you can talk with them. And then you can also listen to their story about some of the trials and tribulations that they went through, because that's how we draw to people. We are, that's how we relate to people. So we find something that's like, oh man, you went through that? Like, I went through that too. And like, now I'm more in tune with your story. I didn't do it because I wanted, like you said, people to say, oh yeah, I agree with what Armand's saying. Like, oh, he's speaking the real. Like, to be honest, I try not to speak as much. I try to empower and enlighten the guests to speak, because I think having, giving people, regular people that's not superstars, a platform to really shine, talk they talk, and have somebody that's rooting for them 100%. I think that's what a lot of people need. And I think for the younger generation, as far as kids, they can see like, oh, this is a platform where I can watch and see what it is that I can do out here and how I can be effective in my own perspective way, versus whether it's the streets, whether it's, rapping, being an artist, or, athlete, whatever the case may have you. But it's a different look. And you can never say that there was nobody that, that you can never say that you didn't know that was out there, because I'm going to find each and every single job there is out there, and I'm going to sit down with them. I'm going to say, look, I'm asking the questions because there's people like me when I was younger that I wish, like, what does it take to start a business? How do I get a land? How do I, become a CFO? How do I work the ladder? What's the keys? That stuff is important to me. So that's kind of the whole purpose of the podcast. But bro.
Yeah. And a lot of the most successful people surround themselves with people that they say are smarter than them, right?
Yeah.
And they might not necessarily have a higher IQ, right? But they know about something that they're trying to get into. So a lot of the times, a lot of the most successful people, they let people into the room that they know more about something than they do, and they listen. I've always been big about letting people tell their story and asking questions. Mm-hmm. Hey, how did you do this? What do you think about this? And just kind of getting their perspective, on that. Like Weeks, He'd be like, man, you know so much stuff, man. Like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I just listen to people.
Yeah.
I let people talk.
Yeah.
I let folks sit there and they just talk their head off to me. And I'm going to get something out of that, no matter who it is. So, so a lot of these folks that are successful, they surround themselves with people that they say are smarter than them. Yeah. Hey, I'm a tech guy, but I don't know a lot about, real estate and property. So I'm going to get with my buddy. He knows about it. And, he's going to put me on game. So, that's how people, I think, like to your point with your podcast, yeah, I might not know about tax laws and how I can take advantage of that. But my friend, he does taxes. He has a CPA. He's got his own account firm. I'm going to bring him on and let him tell y'all about it. Yeah. And I'm going to learn something along the way, too.
Facts. It's crazy how you get to learn free stuff, you know what I'm saying, along with the podcast journey. It's pretty neat. But, man, Ezra, man, it's been a dope conversation, man. If you can believe it, it's been almost an hour, bro. Like, just us.
Oh, wow. Time flies, man.
I'm telling you, just us chopping it up and just really, diving into, your a little bit of your story and just a little bit of your success as well. I think, for me, I learned a lot, as far as just the mindset, the preparation, going into situations and really being prepared and really going in and figuring out, like, the next time you go into, an opportunity, hear them out. You know what I'm saying? I still have to remind myself to this day, because don't get me wrong, money still excites me. I always want to get more money, but it's people like Ezra, when I hear him say, like, okay, I got to make sure this is the right situation for me, and continue to develop and grow in that sense. But, man, it's been a dope conversation. I hope you had fun.
I definitely did, man. Thank you for having me on. And, you got a great thing going. I've looked at some of your stuff, man, and it is really entertaining. And, everything you talked about with your pod, everything you've said, you can tell that in your work, by your guests and who you've talked to and, what you have your brand, catered towards, everything, it adds up. So kudos to you for what you're doing, man. And, definitely keep it up, man. You got a great thing going.
For sure. But, hey, I got to get on you. I want to get on y'all show, man. I want to talk with the fellas.
Absolutely. I already told my brother, we have this, what we call bring a friend night.
Yeah.
So I already told him, I said, Armand, he's coming on the show.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to you yet, but because Weeks knows you and Weeks is my guy.
Yeah.
I automatically just, hey, there's some folks in your life, right? They say, hey, this is my guy. Okay, well, if that's your guy.
That's my
guy.
Yeah,
too.
That's my guy. Yeah.
So, we definitely gonna have you on, man. We have, bring a friend night. Definitely gonna have you on so you can talk about, your podcast and, Lord knows what we're gonna be talking about.
I like to shoot,
right?
I like to shoot the breeze too, man. Listen, I'm all about it. Ain't gotta be about the podcast. I love to, definitely highlight it, but just shooting the breeze, get on there, talk some topics, man. Whatever the case may have you. But I want to definitely return the favor, just because, like I said, you didn't have to hop on at all, but you did, and I'm appreciative. And I never take this stuff, when I'm on the screen or when we're on the screen, I never take it lightly, just because I know I'm taking time out of somebody else's day for them to be able to chop it up with me. So maybe somebody they never met, don't know, but the energy that they're able to bring to the screen and being able to match that and, just have a genuine conversation. It's nothing like it. I think it's healthy to the soul at all costs, like no matter what.
Absolutely.
To have genuine conversations with people. And like I said, you don't even have to know them, but it's just, I talked about something today, you know what I'm saying, that had a little bit of substance. So it's always good to see that. But Ezra, before we go, I got to get a recommendation from you. You know what I'm saying? This is how I keep the podcast moving as far as like who I should sit down with next. Somebody, within your network and just somebody that fits the mold and the scheme of the podcast. So if you could give me that, recommendation, whether it's 1, 2 people, whatever the case may have you. And then all I ask is that you send me their information. You could text me, send me like their Instagram or phone number, however they like to be contacted, and just let them know like, hey, my guy Armand, he has a podcast. He's going to reach out to you. You can say yes or no. It doesn't matter, but it's for a good cause. I would love to be able to get those recommendations.
Yeah, man, I got you. I got 2 or 3 people I think would probably be a good fit for sure. One of them, she does the show with me.
Okay.
Her podcast name is ATL Diva.
Okay.
But she has her own hair care line. It's called Nine Hair Co. And you know, she's got beard balm and different kind of conditioners and shampoos and everything. Yeah. So, you know, she's really growing her brand right now. So I think that would be a good person to talk to.
Okay.
You know, I mentioned Cujo earlier. He's got his own YouTube channel.
Yep.
You know, he's got the snack plug, and you know, he really just, you know, be putting the world on game with the snacks. Shoot, you know, Tiki Blue, who does the show with us, she's got, you know, she's got a line where it's like candles and like bath bombs and different things. That's like dope. That. So yeah, like all those different people, you know, we could get you in contact with them. And then one of my homeboys back home, his name's Jimmy Francis.
Okay.
And you know, he's got a really great story. I don't want to, you know, try to spoil it, but you know, he lost his job, and instead of like just kind of tripping about it or being upset, he ended up starting his own business, and now he's not even looking for a job because he's so wealthy doing what he's doing. So yeah, those are, you know, just a few recommendations. So I'll definitely, you know, get you their contact info, and you know, like you said, just kind of keep this train rolling, right? Yeah. They'll recommend folks, and it just kind of keeps going.
That's it, man. I said I thought about this today. I was like, man, I'm just trying to be friends with everybody in the world. You know, if I could tap in with I don't necessarily need to, you know, hang out with everybody in the world, but if people know, like, they know who Big Boss Talk is and they see the logo, they like, oh yeah, them good people over there. So that'll be dope, man. But Ezra, thank you. I'm gonna let you get back to it. I appreciate everything you've done for me, and I look forward to sitting down with you guys on your podcast.
Yeah, and I would have mentioned my brother as somebody to talk to, but you're going to talk to him on the radio show, okay. So we'll take care of that.
Cool. Well, all right, man. I'm going to let you get it.
All right, appreciate it, man.
No problem, dog.